Hi guys, I'm going to show you my demonstration for how to make our sculpture project, the one where we are using toilet paper and foil into making a sculpture. But I wanted to also show you the fountain that's behind me. This is by one of my favorite sculptors of all time, Gian Lorenzo Bernini. He was a sculptor that was alive around the time that Leonardo da Vinci was alive. And all of that had to be chiseled out of marble. So if you can imagine taking something like a screwdriver and a hammer and pecking away at a giant slab of marble to make that. I mean, that's impressive, totally impressive. So anyway, so let's get started with our sculpture. I'm going to switch cameras so that you can see what we're doing. So I don't know about your house, but we get a lot of junk mail sent to us. So we're going to be using some of that junk mail here. We're going to use some masking tape and then some aluminum foil to make our sculpture today. First thing you want to do, this is for, by the way, this is for those chubby chunky sculptures that I was showing you. I left my other ones at school, but this is one that hasn't been painted yet. So you can see how this would be the base to make a person, a weird shaped person, but a person nonetheless. I also used, here's this one, and I used just foil and then covered it with tissue to make this little guitar. It's going to be a guitar player that I'm working on. So for now, I'll take this junk mail and I'm gonna bump it up. And really, I just need pieces. Depends on what size you want to make, if you want to make something big or small. This is about medium size. And remember, you're going to be covering this with foil and then with tissue, so it is going to grow bigger. Once I have my little balls there, I'm going to put some tape over them just to hold the shape better. Another piece here. And then I'm going to tape the smaller one on top. So I'm going to make a little person, kind of, sort of, maybe. Right. So I'm just worried about, or not worried, I'm just making the head and the torso right now. I'm going to go ahead and cut a little bit of this foil off because I don't think I'll need the whole sheet of what I did. And then I'm going to wrap it in foil. And when you wrap it, go ahead and squeeze the foil in nice and tight around that wadded paper. Try to kind of form it into what you want it to be. If you want it to be something smooth, then take the time now to try to push in and smooth out any bumps that you don't want to be there later. Okay, and now if I want to have arms, I'm going to go ahead and tear off some more foil. And I could build my arms that way. And what I would do then is attach them with tape. I got one little arm started there, and then let's get another arm. All right. Two little arms. Attach these guys up. Okay, he does not have any feet. Looks like he should have some kind of legs at least so that he's sitting there, depending on what kind of creature he is. So we'll go ahead and use the rest of the foil. We'll give him some legs. can set them on top of them, or set him on top of the legs there. Tape goes on. He's gonna be kind of funny looking. That's all right. I'll make him have a goofy face to go along with how goofy he's gonna be shaped. That's okay. You're a crazy man. All right, so once you get all taped up, however you're gonna make your person or animal or whatever it is that you're making. I'm gonna put this around here because that he looks like he's wearing a diaper, but that's okay. We're gonna stick that on there. And next up is gonna be the tissue. Okay, so I went ahead and covered my space with a little bit of paper to soak up any extra water that could come out. We're going to use the toilet tissue now. And we found a couple of things. Chris Barbosa, shout out to Chris. Chris found that if he got the foil a little bit wet first, and actually Mackenzie, she suggested using eyedropper that we have at school. So I don't know if you guys have like little droppers, maybe if there's a baby in the house, or now that you're grown, you guys probably don't use it, right? If you can drop little bits of water onto it and then put the tissue on, that's one way to do it. I've seen other kids, they take the whole tissue and they dip it into the water, squeeze out extra bits that they can, and press it in. One thing for sure though is you got to be patient, because there will be some times where the pieces will fall off. If you have sections that you're doing where you put little bits and pieces on and you find that they're coming off in chunks, what I would suggest you do is you take a full sheet of the tissue and just cover that wet tissue up and let the water soak into the dry tissue that you covered it with, and eventually it will stick. You got to just, like I said, be patient and keep at it. One other important note, as you're doing this, you can see that in my water, there's a little bit of tissue in there. You do not want to pour this down the sink when you're done, especially if you put the tissue into the bowl. You're going to want to take that bowl of water and either toss it outside or flush it down the toilet, which is, that's where tissue normally goes anyway. But I would not do it in large. If you have large chunks of the tissue in the water in your bowl here, try to pull those out and put them in the garbage, and then the rest of the water should go down the toilet, so that way you don't clog any pipes. Please don't clog your pipes, please. I do not want to have that. All right, so I would just keep doing this until it's covered. And you can see over here, I have one that I started a while ago. The stuff is already dry. And then, like I said before, I have these guys here that are all set and ready to go for some color. This little guy too. You would keep going on that, and then when you're ready, you can use the paints that you got at school and paint them. Another suggestion is, as you paint an area, let it dry, then paint another color. Don't paint the whole thing in one sitting, because your colors are going to run together and it's going to get mushy and you're going to be upset. So just let things dry in between. You have to give this time. Okay. The other option you have, in addition to doing, or instead of doing this little guy, if you want to do something that is a bit thinner, you can also just use foil to make a little stick dude. And the way you do that is you take a sheet of foil, like so, and fold it in half. So I can see I have it folded in half. What I'm going to do is make some layers on this foil so that I can cut the foil to make room for arms, legs, and a head. So I'm going to use my king size Sharpie. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. There's dividing line for legs. Up here, this is head, arms, legs. Right. Then the next step, I take my scissors, cut on those lines. Okay. Then I'm going to take the little head here and I'm going to slowly crumple that down so I can see head, arms, legs. Then I'm slowly going to gather in each of the parts. And this is where you're going to want to really pinch them in nice and tight. So you're going to get your fingers are going to get a bit of a workout because you want this guy to look like a stick figure. He should not be full size because remember, again, you're going to be covering him with tissue. So if he's too thick, you're not going to like the way his appearance is at the very end once he's got all the paper parts on. You can see already where he's almost looking like a Marvel character whose arm just exploded. Okay. And if you decide, hey, the arm looks to me like it's a little bit too long, you can just fold it in and that will shorten his arm. Same thing with the legs, any parts, you can do that. You can tape the foil parts back on if they fall off. It's all good. I've had kids in the past, my friends, when I would go visit my friends and they have kids, usually, well, sometimes they ask if I would show them some art stuff to do. And one of my friend's sons, he made like a whole army of these things. His mom was buying foil, like, she's like, why? Of all the things you could have taught him. We are going through foil like crazy. I'm like, yeah, okay. But is he happy? You know? Whatever. There you go. Okay, so there's a little foil dude that we made. And again, take the tissue. I'm going to dip this tissue in water and wrap it around. But you, again, you don't want to just wrap it. You got to also pinch it and squeeze that tissue so it gets into the little parts of the foil. It'll catch on the texture of the foil, which will help it to stay on. You may want to do on either of these sculpture pieces, you may want to do it in several layers, like let that dry for a day. Then the next day, after that layer is dried, do another layer because eventually it'll dry almost like, well, it's like paper mache really, but gotta really squeeze all the water out of that and that'll help it also to dry a little bit faster. If you're not sure, like, how will you tell if it's completely dry? Well, when things like this are drying, if they're still damp, they're going to feel cooler to the touch because there's still moisture leaving the piece. So if it still feels cold, it's still wet. If it is room temperature, then chances are it's dry. And then you would be ready to paint it. Another type of tissue you could do if you don't want to use the toilet tissue, if you have extra wrapping tissue that's already colored, you may get a little bit of the coloring ink on your fingers, just to be aware. But you could use watered down Elmer's glue and paint that tissue onto your piece. So there you would have to probably have glue involved because it's not meant to disintegrate as quick as toilet tissue. Because it's going with the present. So I would definitely do that with some kind of a paste. Either Elmer's glue. If you're not allergic to flour, you could use flour and water mixture, also makes a good paste. If you find that while you're doing it, your hands are getting really itchy, you might not want to do that because you might have a skin allergy to flour. I found over the years, I've had several kids who found out, oh, wait, that's That's not good. It's making me itchy. So I've actually pretty much stopped using flour for paper mache in class just because I don't want any of you to get uncomfortable. You know, it's not fun being itchy at school. So, all right. So I'm not going to finish this guy. I want you guys to have time to work on your own. So, okay. So that, whoop, this, that's sculpture. Okay, so, and then when you're ready to paint, like I said, use the paints in your set. If you are a lucky duck and you happen to have acrylics at home, you can use acrylics. Another option for you to use if you don't have acrylics or you can't find the paint you got from your kit, watercolors will work if they might be a little bit faded. You can also use markers. That would work too. Okay, so when you're all finished, make sure that you either take a video of your sculpture. If you do a video, turn it around so I can see, you know, what it looks like on all sides. If you take a picture, take pictures from various angles so that I can see what you did. Okay, all right, good luck. Let me know if you need any help.